You got it. And there's this really fascinating story. Clear shares about John H. Patterson, the guy who invented the cash register.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. What a game changer that was for, like, businesses everywhere.
Back then, employee theft was a huge problem. There was no way to reliably track transactions, so people were constantly getting ripped off.
Until, boom, the cash register enters the scene.
Right. Ritty's incorruptible cashier, they called it the first cash register.
Love that name.
It locked the cash and receipts inside after each transaction, making theft nearly impossible.
So it's like, overnight, that bad habit was practically designed out of existence.
Such a clever example of how you can use your environment to, nudge yourself in the right direction.
And speaking of nudges, we can't forget about the role technology plays in all of this.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a double-edged sword, right?
Totally. It can help us build those good habits, but it can also make those bad habits even harder to break.
Absolutely. On one hand, you've got things like fitness trackers that keep us accountable for our steps and sleep, or apps that automatically transfer money into savings, which is amazing.
But then there's the endless scroll of social media, the streaming services that make it way too easy to binge watch an entire season in one sitting.
It's a constant battle. The key is to be mindful of how technology is influencing your behavior and try to leverage it to work for you, not against you.
So we've got to be the ones in control, calling the shot.
Exactly. You're the architect of your habits, not the other way around.
I love that.
Right.
Okay, before we move on, I'm curious, what's standing out to you so far? Is there anything that's making you think differently about your own habits?
Yeah, what's got you excited to try? Let us know. We're about to get into another fascinating piece of this whole atomic habits puzzle.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here. The how-to of atomic habits, making those habits tiny, designing our environment.
All that good stuff.
But there's this other layer that James Clear dives into that I think is super important. It's like the mindset piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, the mental game.
Because you can have all the strategies in the world, but if your head's not in the right place.
It's going to be tough.
Exactly. And Clear talks about this thing that I think we can all relate to, which is the fact that we're not perfect.
We're human, right?
We're going to mess up. We're going to have days where we totally fall off the wagon.
That happens.
And he's all about embracing that reality. It's not about never slipping up. It's about having a plan for when you do.
He actually calls it the never miss twice rule.
Yeah, I love that missing once. Hey, it happens.
Life gets in the way.
But missing twice, that's where you got to catch yourself and course correct.
It's about recognizing those patterns and getting back on track as quickly as possible.
So it's not about beating yourself up over one bad day.
No, it's about progress, not perfection.
And that brings me to one of my favorite takeaways from the book, this idea of striving to be just slightly better than yesterday.
It's such a powerful shift in perspective because it takes the pressure off.
Totally. It's not about making these massive leaps. It's about those small, incremental improvements that add up over time.
Just like those tiny habits compound to create big results.
Those tiny improvements day after day, they lead to massive transformations.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Right. And it's not just about the destination. It's about enjoying the journey.
Becoming that better version of yourself.
Okay, so before we wrap up this deep dive into atomic habits, James Clear leaves us with this really thought-provoking idea. It's about reflecting on your values and using them as your compass.
Your values, what truly matters to you.
Because when your habits are rooted in those values, they become so much more than just things you're trying to force yourself to do.
They have meaning.
They're an expression of who you are at your core.
It's powerful stuff.
So as we wrap up here, I want to leave you with this. Think about one habit you want to build or break. It could be something small.
Something simple.
And ask yourself, how can I use what we've learned from atomic habits to make it happen?
How can you apply these principles to your own life?
Remember, progress is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself, celebrate those small wins, and most importantly, have fun with it.
Building a better you should be an adventure.
It shouldn't feel like a chore.
Exactly.
So go out there, experiment, see what amazing things you can accomplish with the power of atomic habits.
You might be surprised by what's possible.
Until next time, happy habit building.